president in its entire history to be impeached twice. Joe Biden expresses hope that the Senate will deal with their constitutional responsibilities on impeachment while working on other important businesses. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell calls upon the Congress and executive to focus on smooth transfer of power. A team of international experts arrives in the city of Wuhan to investigate the source of early infections of COVID-19. The team to spend about a month in the city. WHO expert team visit was delayed due to lack of authorization from the Chinese authorities. And the fourth and final test match between India and Australia to begin in Brisbane from tomorrow. India face multiple injury problems ahead of the tie, which is level right now in the series at 1-1. Okay, let's get cracking straight away with the big news of the hour. Well, India's COVID vaccination drive is scheduled to start on Saturday, which is the 16th of January, with priority being given to an estimated 3 crore healthcare and frontline workers. Spreading hope and health across the country, consignments of vaccines manufactured in Pune-based Serum Institute of India and Hyderabad Bharat Biotech, that's the COVID vaccine, are reaching various cities across the country. All the vaccine batches for the first phase will positively reach their destinations, their respective destinations, by today itself, by the end of the day. Vaccine from Serum Institute of India, Pune, arrived, as you can see right now, in Leh for the Ladakh COVID vaccination drive. Ladakh BJP MP Jamyang Sering Namgyal received the consignment at the airport and handed it over to Leh CMO. And the vaccine is also being delivered to Arunachal Pradesh today. And what has happened, of course, and has been happening through the course of the last couple of days is Sikkim yesterday received its first batch of 1,250 vials of COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine has been stored in a walk-in cooler at the cold chain section in the STNM hospital complex in Gangtok. And in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the Jammu Division has received the first batch of COVID-19 vaccine from the Serum Institute of India in Pune. Special choppers will ferry COVID-19 vaccines to far-flung areas which are cut off due to snowfall so that all healthcare workers are vaccinated even in the most difficult and inaccessible areas of the Jammu Division. The UT government has so far registered 1.5 lakh healthcare workers for vaccination in the first phase. Uttarakhand has also received the first consignment of a Covishield from Pune yesterday. The consignment containing 1,13,000 doses of the vaccine was received by Assistant Director of the National Health Mission in the state and other officials at the airport. And in the run-up to the vaccination drive, Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan has clarified some of the FAQs for all to stay informed and to stay safe. Now, these pertain to the registration process, photo identification and the CoWIN app as well. Let's take a look at some of them. What are these FAQs like? It's all about the vaccination drive. Now, if the question is what photo ID do I need to register on the CoWIN app, the answer right there is registration is mandatory for general population. Everybody needs to register. That's the only way that you can get the vaccine. And further on, self-registration can be done using any of the 12 approved photo IDs. The next question that then arises, of course, is which photo IDs are approved for registration on CoWIN app? Well, these are driving license, passport, Aadhaar, PAN, voter ID, Manrega card, pension document, which has a photograph. Every document has to have a photograph. There's a smart card issued by RJ under NPR, Health Insurance Smart Card, service I-cards of central, state or PSU employees as well. So these are 12 kind that you can use for the purpose of registration. Any will suffice. Now, how will I know if I'm eligible for vaccination? Well, the answer is eligible beneficiaries will be informed on their registered mobile phone number. And further on, what will happen is, this is regarding the health facility for vaccination and the scheduled time. So you'll get an SMS which will tell you where to go, when to go to get yourself vaccinated. How will I know if, how will vaccine be given if person is unable to produce photo ID at the session site for verification? So no photo ID submitted for, in fact, regarding health facility for vaccination and scheduled time. So if you have not taken your ID, you will not be vaccinated. How will I know if I'm eligible for vaccination? Well, eligible beneficiaries will be informed on their registered mobile phone number, and that's how they will get intimation for it. They'll get to know where to go and what time to go as well. Will vaccine be given if person is unable to produce photo ID at session site for verification? Then the answer is no. Photo ID submitted for registration has to be shown on the site of vaccination. Without it, it will not happen. Again, the question is, will there be on-the-spot facility for registration at the session site? No, you can't do that. On-the-spot facility is not there. Only pre-registered beneficiaries will be vaccinated on site at the appointed date and time, and you will get an invitation for that through SMS as well. Question: will there be on-the-spot? This, of course, we have answered for you. If we could move on further, I'd request my team at the panel to do that. Could we move on further, please? Thank you. Now, is it mandatory to take the vaccine? The answer there is vaccination is voluntary, but advisable to receive complete schedule to protect self and limit the spread of the virus to others as well, because both these purposes will be served if you take the vaccine, which is not mandatory. How will beneficiary get information about due date for vaccination? Well, beneficiary will get the SMS on their mobile phone for vaccination place, date, time after their registration. So that will come straight to you on your cell phone. Again, a question: will beneficiaries get update on their vaccination status after completion? The answer is yes. SMS will be received on mobile phone after getting the due doses. And once you've got all the doses, and right now it's 2 doses, you'll get a QR code based certificate that will tell you, and you can show at other places as well where it is required, that you have indeed been vaccinated completely and you are completely safe to go anywhere. You won't be spreading the disease, or you won't have the disease in the future. Again, a question is it necessary for COVID recovered person to get vaccinated? The answer there is it's advisable to receive complete schedule of vaccine irrespective of past history of infection. So you should get the vaccine even if you were infected. And further on, this will also help in developing a strong immune response as well. So no matter you've been infected in the past or not, whether you were symptomatic or not, you should get the vaccine. Also, if we move on further again, yes, thank you. Now, can a person having confirmed or suspected COVID infection get vaccinated? Now, the answer to that is infected person should defer vaccination for a minimum of 14 days after symptoms have been resolved. So once your symptoms are gone, wait for 14 days and then get yourself a vaccine, because there's a risk of spreading the virus to others at the session site if you go there while you are still infected, while you are symptomatic. Further on, if you look at some of the essential FAQs that need answers, well, what preventive or cautionary measures need to be taken by beneficiaries at the vaccine sites, from Saturday onwards? Now, you must rest at the vaccination site for at least half an hour after getting the shot, because that will tell you whether you're okay or not after the vaccine shot. And if you're not, then inform the nearest health authorities or A&M or ASHA in case of any subsequent discomfort or uneasiness. That is very important. If you feel any discomfort, uneasiness after getting the shot, inform the health officials present there. And keep following COVID appropriate behavior with mask, social distancing and hand washing and sanitation as well, even after you've been vaccinated. That is very, very important. Now, are approved vaccines safe? That's a basic question, and the answer is regulatory bodies have cleared both vaccines for emergency use after assessing both safety and efficacy. So it'll be a good idea to get the vaccine. Are approved vaccines safe? That question we have answered. If we move on further, if I could request my team on the panel to move on further. What about possible side effects. Thank you. Most vaccines have common side effects like mild fever, pain, where the shot has been given, and that passes very quickly. And arrangements have been made at vaccination sites to deal with side effects and any adverse events as well. So these are some of the basic questions that have been answered. Some of them have been answered by Dr. Harshvardhan today itself, the Health Minister, and some have been answered earlier as well. Now, let's find out more about how the entire exercise of preparing for getting the vaccination out on Saturday is being done. We are taking you across to two key centres for that. One, of course, in the extreme north of the country. Ramesh Chandra is joining us from Leh, and the other is Sanjay Pratap, who's joining us from Itanagar. Now, thank you for joining us, and just tell us, Sanjay, first to you, the vaccines were set to arrive any time in Arunachal Pradesh. What is the status right now?
Gautam, आपने भी recently आपकी Arunachal is receiving COVID vaccine doses today. As per latest information is from Guwahati to Itanagar is on way, and around after 1 hour Arunachal is going to receive 30,000 doses of COVID vaccine by 5 p.m. at Tomoriba Institute of Health and Medical Sciences, where the vaccine stock will be received. All arrangements are made, and the district coordinating officer and the mission mode coordinating officers are there. They told me that on 16th January there are 9 special session sites are identified, in which Itanagar Capital Region, Pasikar General Hospital, Namsai, and also remotest part like Tawang, Alo, Inkyong, Longding. These are going to cover on 16, and then other district will also cover this under this vaccination drive. The state has targeted more than 23,000 healthcare workers who have been already identified to be vaccinated on this vaccination first phase drive, and among this around 2,600 health workers are in capital region Itanagar. They will be vaccinated on 16 January. Gautam.
So that sounds wonderful. I hope all contingency have also been thought of, because a lot of these areas, or at least some of them, where these vaccines are to be sent out before Saturday, will be in far-flung areas. And a similar case there in Leh as well. Ramesh, the supply has been received via air there, but in terms of getting it to different very hard to access places, how is it going to be done in the course of the next 24 to 48 hours?
Yeah, Gautam, today we have received in Leh around 11,500 doses against the 10,890 registered health workers, frontline workers, both in civil and armed forces, medical services. So we have in Ladakh, we have in a different situation where army is deployed at line of actual control.
Yes.
And special attention is given to armed forces also, where health workers are working, and army also, where they should be kept corona free. So around 4,630 doses are meant for armed forces in both Leh and Kargil district, and the rest are given to healthline workers, frontline workers here in Leh and Kargil district. These doses are received today morning at airport by the Ladakh MP Jaming Sering Namgyal and the director Sering Angchuk from medical department. And these were right now stored in CMO's office, where separate arrangements are made to maintain the required temperatures, because even in a day temperatures are falling sub-zero. So it has to be very carefully preserved till 16th of January. And as far as distribution is concerned, from Leh, Demchok is the farthest place where the vaccine is going to be administered on 16th.
Okay.
This is going to be an interesting because as government is giving every care to frontline workers and last mile public health centers.
Certainly.
So this is very interesting, and as you were saying, in some cut-off places where snowbound places, army or airports helis are going to be used to distribute the vaccine.
Okay, great. Let's hope that everything goes smoothly and the vaccination drive can begin as scheduled on Saturday. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Ramesh as well as Sanjay, from two different locations, one in the extreme north, which is Leh in Ladakh, and from Itanagar in Arunachal Pradesh as well in the northeast. Okay, let's now move on to what is our developing story at the moment. Well, major Hindu harvest festival of Makar Sankranti is being celebrated across the country today. Makar Sankranti is an ideal illustration of unity and diversity. Each state in India has a different way of celebrating Makar Sankranti. However, the theme, harvest season, is the common denominator. On this day, the sun god is worshipped, made offerings to and propitiated as well. Devotees also worship Lord Vishnu and goddess Lakshmi on the occasion of Makar Sankranti. The festival is celebrated with various social and cultural activities. However, kite flying and bonfires remain the major attraction of the festival. People also take a dip in holy rivers like Ganga and Yamuna. And the previous day as well, the festival of Lodi was also celebrated. It is around the same theme of festivities around harvest, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has extended greetings to the citizens on Makar Sankranti. In a tweet, he said, and I quote, "Makar Sankranti is marked with enthusiasm in several parts of India. This auspicious festival illustrates India's diversity and the vibrancy of our traditions. It also reaffirms the importance of respecting Mother Nature. Magh Bihu wishes to everyone, may the coming times be filled with happiness. With the blessings of Almighty, may there be brotherhood and wellness all around." And coinciding with the festivities of Makar Sankranti, the festival of Pongal is also being celebrated in southern parts of the country, particularly within the Tamil community. Dedicated to Surya Dev or Sun God, Thai Pongal is a multi-day harvest festival. Pongal is the start of the Mantai according to Tamil solar calendar. The very first day of the Pongal festivities is called Bhogi. Traditional dish rice boiled in milk with jaggery is served to gods and goddesses. Later, an offering is made to cows and then shared with the family. Cows are decorated and their horns adorned with beautiful embellishments, including ritual bathing and procession. People decorate their homes with rice powder-based kolam artworks. The 4-day Pongal festivities will be concluding on the 18th this year. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also extended greetings on Pongal. He has tweeted and said, and I quote, "Pongal greetings to all, especially my Tamil sisters and brothers. This special festival showcases the best of Tamil culture. May we be blessed with good health and success. May this festival also inspire us to live in harmony with nature and further the spirit of compassion." And traditional bull taming sport Jallikattu began at Avaniyapuram in Madurai to mark the Pongal festival spirit. The game was organized this year, keeping restrictions amid the COVID-19 pandemic in mind. The robust sport involves releasing a bull into a crowd of people who attempt to grab it and ride it. It's performed during the 4-day Pongal festival and is hugely popular in southern India. And with this, Bhogali or Magh Bihu is also being celebrated in Assam. One of the most popular festivals of Assam, Magh Bihu, is a joyous, colourful harvest gala celebrated with great gusto. In the early morning of Bihu, Meji or bonfire is lit and the festival is celebrated with some amazing folk songs accompanied with traditional instruments. The Assamese folk songs are vital to the Bihu festival. And Prime Minister Modi has also extended his greetings on the occasion of Bihu. In a tweet he said, and I quote, "May the coming times be filled with happiness. With the blessings of Almighty, may there be brotherhood and wellness all around." Okay, let's get you an update on what's happening as far as Pongal festivities are concerned, because this time in Tamil Nadu, if we go across to Philip Matthew, we'll find that Pongal also has a bit of a political flavor, doesn't it, Philip?
Absolutely, Gautam. In fact, we've had a succession of political leaders arriving here in Tamil Nadu. We've had the BJP President JP Nadda, who's arriving this evening. He of course will participate in a Pongal event at Maduravayal on the outskirts of the city. He will be given a glimpse into the festivities that are a hallmark of rural Tamil Nadu. He will also ride a bullock cart, and he will partake in the festival with the villagers in that region. Apart from that, of course, we have RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat also, who was here this morning and took part in a community Pongal event, again on the outskirts of Chennai. Again, it was marked by celebrations of the Pongal rice being boiled, as well as the Gau Puja and other events.
If the festival and the day today has been extremely festive as well. We've seen people celebrating despite COVID around, and they've taken all precautions. Even Jallikattu has taken place, so quite a good day there over there. Philip, can you hear me? Well, it seems that we're having a bit of a problem with the link that is free to Philip. We'll try and reconnect, but at the moment, let's also go across to Ahmedabad, where we have got Devshi to tell us about all the celebrations that are related to Uttarayan in Gujarat. Devshi, if you could tell us, it is, of course, all related to harvesting and the festivities and the festive spirit around it, but flying kites is an inalienable and very intrinsic part of it. Just tell us about this culture as well.
बिल्कुल गुजरात के लिए जो मिठाई होती है ऊंधियू जलेबी, उसके साथ साथ जो जो फेस्टिवल होता है उसका बहुत एक बड़ा महत्व होता है, क्योंकि गुजरात का जो छोटा छोटा बच्चा है जब 5-6 साल का होता है तब से वो काइट फ्लाइंग सीख जाता है और अपने टेरेस पे आकर वो काइट को फ्लाई करना है, फिर एक दूसरे को काइट को काटना है। ये सब जो मजा है वो एक अलग सा उत्तरायण में यहाँ पे होता है। आज भी वैसे ही उत्तरायण यहाँ पे मनाया जा रहा है। हालांकि कोविड की संक्रमण के कारण यहाँ पे गाइडलाइंस दी गई है गवर्नमेंट की ओर से, तो लोग जो है वो किसी और के घर पे जाके नहीं उड़ा सकते, अपने घर पे अपने टेरेस पे जाकर वो काइट फ्लाइंग कर रहे हैं। और खास करके जो कोविड संक्रमण न फैले इसलिए लोग भी बहुत समझदार बने हुए हैं और बहुत ही उत्साहित है इस उत्सव को मनाने के लिए। और लोग जो है सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग के साथ अपनी अपनी टेरेस पे जाकर ये जो काइट फेस्टिवल है उसका आनंद जो ले रहे हैं।
Certainly. Thanks for joining us from there in Ahmedabad. Let's also go across quickly to Guwahati. Mridusmita is joining us from there to tell us about how Bihu, Magh Bihu, is being celebrated over there. Mridusmita, what can you tell us about these celebrations? They start pretty early in the morning, so are people still in a celebratory mode, or are they a bit relaxed now?
Since today is Bihu, the Magh Bihu, and yesterday usually during this festival Uruka is celebrated, in which they feast they feast together, the family, they get together, have a proper they have a feast, and so early in the morning
a lot of
again
emphasis
after
on having
doing
fish
all the rituals. Hello? Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, people are celebrating here. Yes, during this time, because of the pandemic, however, people are not allowed to go outside as such, but they are celebrating it with little fervor, but they are quite enthusiastic, so that they are celebrating within their houses. However, people are not going out today as usually after doing all the rituals, after blazing the Meji, after offering prayers to God, they feast and have laru, pitha, the various dishes that are prepared during this Bihu with puff rice and curd. Usually they eat, and after having a lot of food the other night before Bihu, that Uruka, they tend to have only these kind of things, and pitha laru is very famous out here, and people have that. And during this pandemic corona, because of corona, however, people are little not, they are not going outside as much, because usually during the Magh Bihu they visit their family members, their family people, but because of the situation, the social distancing and maintaining the protocol, they are not doing so. They are remaining in their houses mostly and celebrating this Magh Bihu.
Well, that is good to know, Mridusmita, that people are keeping the protocols in mind even while celebrating, and perhaps connecting with relatives like you and I are over any sort of a video, audio link. Thanks a lot for joining us for the time being. Okay, now amid the festivities, Union Home Minister Amit Shah today visited Jagannath Ji Temple in Ahmedabad. Amit Shah offered prayers to Sri Jagannath. So that was the Home Minister in Ahmedabad. And Philip Matthew, when he was talking to me just a short while back from Chennai, did mention this. RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat offered prayers at the Sri Kadambari Chinnama Temple and participated in community Pongal celebrations at the Punyamamedu on the outskirts of Chennai today. He offered prayers at the temple, participated in Gau Puja and took part in Pongal festivities on the occasion. Addressing the gathering, he wished the people of Tamil Nadu and said that it was a matter of great joy for him to be present in the state during the festive season. He called for cordiality and sweet relationships among people in keeping with the festive spirit, pointing out that Pongal was celebrated for 3 days in Tamil Nadu. Unlike in the rest of India, where it was a day-long festival, he said the worship of sun god and the cow represents man's bond with nature and his gratitude for its role in daily life. And time now to tell you what's there in national prime. Well, Armed Forces Veterans Day is being celebrated today. The Army took lead service for conduct of the event at Delhi. The events of this year have been scaled down to cater to COVID restrictions placed by the government. And addressing the event that has been organized, Chief of Army Staff General M.M. Narvane said that last year had been very challenging for our nation, but the armed forces bravely stayed at the northern borders. He added that the armed forces also battled the pandemic efficiently.
पिछले वर्ष हमारे देश और सेना के लिए बहुत ही चुनौतीपूर्ण रहा है। सेना उत्तरी सीमाओं पर सुरक्षा में दृढ़ता से डटी रही और साथ ही कोविड महामारी का सामना सक्षम रूप से करती रही। मुझे ये कहते हुए गर्व है कि इस कार्य को सफलतापूर्वक करने के लिए हमारे वेटरन्स का पूरा सहयोग मिला।
General Narvane also said that this entire year will be celebrated as Golden Victory Year to mark the 1971 war victory. Several events will be organized across the country to mark the occasion.
ये पूरा साल 1971 के युद्ध के विजय प्राप्त होने के उपलक्ष्य में स्वर्णिम विजय वर्ष के रूप में मनाया जाएगा और देश भर में अलग-अलग जगहों पर कई कार्यक्रमों का आयोजन किया जाएगा, जैसे कि एग्जीबिशन, बैंड डिस्प्लेज, परेड इत्यादि।
Air Chief R.K. Bhadauria also addressed the event to mark Armed Forces Veterans Day. He also extolled the Directorate of Air Force Veterans for its grievance redressing system and for its yet-to-be launched initiative of making available online all the information pertaining to our veterans.
DAV is functioning quite well. In DAV, one, they bring out a booklet every year which updates all the procedures, all the policy matters, forms, etc., what's to be done. So as a matter of education, as a matter of bringing out what needs to be done is put on paper very clearly. The next big step is to handle digitization and digitization of all the records, every single record. This is a big task and going electronic, but it has been initiated. And in due course, I think this is what will bring in efficiency and our ability to handle the tasks of veterans really well, because many of the issues, the biggest problem is documentation. And this will sort out the issues for the future, I think, very, very well.
And speaking at the Veterans Day event, Navy Chief Admiral Karambir Singh, who was also the chief guest, paid tribute to soldiers who participated in the 1971 war. He said that 2021 is being celebrated as Golden Victory Year to commemorate the victory achieved by the brave soldiers in the 1971 war.
2021 is of special importance to all of us. It's the 50th anniversary of our splendid victory in the 1971 war. And this bears a special significance in our national conscience and is accordingly being celebrated across the country as Swarnim Vijay Vash. So on behalf of all men in white, I salute our veterans who participated in the 1971 war and fashioned India's victory with their sweat, blood, grit, determination and professionalism.
And the two-day coastal defence exercise Sea Vigil has also come to a close today. The exercise was held to test breaches in coastal security, if any. The entire coastal security apparatus and more than 110 warships of the Indian Navy and Coast Guard were deployed in the drill. In addition, a large number of marine, police and customs assets were also deployed. The entire coastline was kept under surveillance by the naval aircraft, and helicopters were also pressed into service to reinforce special operations personnel operating on board offshore platforms. Indian Navy Marcos and NSG commandos were exercised to tackle acts of maritime terrorism. Union Minister for Science and Technology Dr. Harshvardhan on Thursday inaugurated the National Institute of Science, Communication and Policy Research, formed through the merger of National Institute of Science, Communication and Information Resources and Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, National Institute of Science, Technology and Development Studies. Addressing the event, the minister said, India ranks among top 10 countries in the field of science and research.
जिस भी पैरामीटर पर हम देश को विज्ञान की भारत की प्रगति को विश्लेषण करते हैं, कंपेयर करते हैं दुनिया के दूसरे देशों से मिलके कंपेयर करते हैं, तो हम देखते हैं सब जगह पर हम ऐसा नहीं कि कोई हम 50वें 60वें रैंक पे चल रहे हो। हमारा हर जगह रैंक जो है वो पहले नंबर से लेकर 10 नंबर के बीचों बीच ही होता है मोटे तौर पर। ये खाली CSIR की बात नहीं, ये सभी जितने हमारे वैज्ञानिक उपलब्धियां हैं, बहुत सारी जगह पे तो हम शायद नंबर 1 पे हैं, मैं उनकी डिटेल्स में नहीं जाता। यानी कि हम ऑलरेडी जो है एक सिग्निफिकेंट स्थान पर पहुंच चुके हैं, जहां से एक ठीक प्रकार से अगर एक जंप और अगली हमने लगाई तो निश्चित रूप से हम जो है बहुत सारी लोगों के लिए सुखदायी खबरें जो हैं और सुखदायी कारण ऐसे प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं।
And India can go much higher in the rankings as well as far as science R&D is concerned. Now in Midday Prime, it's time to get you all news and updates from the world of business and economy. To get you all the updates from business and economy, markets, we've got Abhishek.
Thank you, Gautam. And to start with, we have business wrap. The domestic equity markets turned positive after pairing their early losses in Thursday's volatile session. Ahead of the weekly F&O expiry later in the day, the S&P BSE Sensex was trading at around 49,600 levels, up by 115 points, and the Nifty 50 index was testing the 14,600 mark. The Nifty sectoral indices were mixed, with Nifty Metal Index down by 1%, leading the list of losers. In the broader markets, the S&P, BSE, mid-cap and small-cap indices were both up by 0.2%. The rupee opened on a flat note and depreciated by 3 paise to 73.18 against the US dollar in the opening trade on Thursday, tracking the muted opening in domestic equities. At the interbank forex market, the domestic unit opened at 73.18 against the US dollar, registering a fall of 3 paise over its previous close. On Wednesday, the rupee had settled at 73.15 against the American currency. FPI flows into the domestic equity markets could lift sentiments. As Reliance Securities said in a research note, and added that RBI's presence could cap the gains. Now, gold prices has fallen sharply in Indian markets, with MCX February futures slumping below the 49,000 level. Gold was down by 0.9% or rupees 450 to 48,860 per 10 gram, while silver futures slumped by 1.4% or rupees 900 to 65,127 rupees per kilogram. The precious metal is now down about rupees 7,500 from record highs of 56,200 hit in the August. In global markets, gold prices were lower today amid higher US Treasury yields and a stronger dollar. Gold was at $1,840 an ounce, down by 0.3%. Bond yields and the dollar rose today after a report indicated that US President-elect Joe Biden plans a massive COVID-19 relief package of about $2 trillion. Brent crude has risen above $57 a barrel for the first time in almost a year, owing to Saudi Arabia's decision to cut an additional 1 million barrel per day in production in February and March, as the collective OPEC plus effort to control prices appeared to not be effective enough for the kingdom. So this was all in today's business wrap. Back to you, Gautam.
Thanks a lot, Abhishek. Let's move on further and get you all that is taking place around the globe as well. Well, the U.S. House of Representatives on late Wednesday approved the impeachment motion against U.S. President Donald Trump. U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi signed the enforcement of the article of impeachment against Donald Trump that her chamber passed earlier in the day. And with this, Trump became the first president in American history to be impeached twice.
During the voting of Trump's impeachment motion in the House of Representatives, 232 votes were cast in favor of the motion and 197 in the opposition. Surprisingly, 10 lawmakers of President Donald Trump's Republican Party also voted in favor of the motion. With this, Trump became the first president in American history to be impeached twice. The article will now go to the Senate for an impeachment trial. The motion accuses the president for inciting supporters for insurrection. It added that Trump encouraged his supporters to lay siege to the Capitol building when the Electoral College votes were counting, and the process was disrupted as people attacked. 5 people, including a police officer, were killed in the incident. Emotional impeachment debate conducted with extraordinary security unfolded with passionate arguments from both sides.
Most Americans want neither inaction nor retribution. They want durable, bipartisan justice. That path is still available, but is not the path we are on today. That doesn't mean the president is free from fault. The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters.
After Trump's impeachment, U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said that in a bipartisan way, the U.S. House demonstrated that no one is above the law.
And we know that the President of the United States incited this insurrection, this armed rebellion against our common country. He must go. He is a clear and present danger to the nation that we all love. And then came that day of fire we all experienced. The president must be impeached, and I believe the president must be convicted by the Senate, a constitutional remedy that will ensure that the Republic will be safe from this man who was so resolutely determined to tear down the things that we hold dear and that hold us together.
President Donald Trump released a video on Twitter where he did not mention impeachment. Instead, Trump focused his remarks on the violence at the Capitol, saying violence and vandalism have absolutely no place in our country.
Whether you are on the right or on the left, a Democrat or a Republican, there is never a justification for violence. No excuses, no exceptions. America is a nation of laws. Those who engaged in the attacks last week will be brought to justice. Every American deserves to have their voice heard in a respectful and peaceful way. That is your First Amendment right. But I cannot emphasize that there must be no violence, no law breaking, and no vandalism of any kind. Everyone must follow our laws and obey the instructions of law enforcement.
Meanwhile, the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of the Republican Party has stated that owing to the rules, procedures and precedents governing the presidential impeachments, there is no chance that a fair or serious trial could conclude before Biden is sworn in. He further called upon the Congress and the executive to focus on an orderly transfer of power. Security up near Vice President Mike Pence's house as well as the Capitol Hill post-Trump's impeachment by the House. As many as 15,000 National Guard troops, including some armed members, have been ordered in Washington to secure the city before U.S. President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration, with new fencing and other security measures engulfing the U.S. Capitol area. Bureau Report.
And social media platforms have been scrambling to eliminate or limit the reach of inflammatory content and accounts in the wake of the U.S. Capitol riots and ahead of next week's inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden. U.S. President Donald Trump's access to social media has been largely cut off since a violent mob of his supporters stormed the Capitol in Washington, D.C. in a deadly attack on the 6th of January. After Twitter and YouTube, image-centric social network Snapchat has permanently banned Donald Trump from the platform. Snapchat has officially stated an indefinite suspension of President Trump's Snapchat account is in the best interest of Snapchat community. The decision has been taken in the interest of public safety and based on Trump's attempts to spread misinformation, hate speech and incite violence. In other developments, a team of WHO experts is in Wuhan, China, to start their probe into COVID-19 at the virus epicenter. The 10 scientists will investigate the origins of the new virus in a mission that comes more than a year after the pandemic began. The team is currently under quarantine in central Hubei province, from where they are communicating with Chinese medical experts by video. Wuhan is the central city where the first cluster of cases was detected in December 2019. WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus has said that the organization looks forward to working with China on the mission to identify the source of the virus and how it entered the human population. On that note, let's now take a look at the updates that are coming in on COVID-19 from across the world. Well, the virus has infected more than 9,27,19,000 people, while 6,62,46,980 have recovered so far worldwide. The number of lives lost due to COVID-19 is above 19,84,900. The virus continues to batter the US the most, where more than 2,35,90,480 cases have been registered. Over 3,93,000 fatalities have been recorded in the US due to COVID-19, followed by Brazil, which has lost 2,06,000 lives. Now, as the US plans to ramp up its vaccination drive against COVID-19, New York has turned the Jacob J. Javits Convention Center into a COVID-19 vaccination center with the ability to vaccinate 10,000 people in a 12-hour period. US federal officials have agreed to send states additional coronavirus vaccine doses requested by several governors. The US Food and Drug Administration has authorized the vaccine from Pfizer and partner BioNTech, SE, and a second vaccine from Moderna Inc. for emergency use. Almost 9 million Americans had already been given their first COVID-19 vaccination. As part of the US Centers of Disease for Disease Control and Prevention, less than one-third of the 25 million total doses have been distributed to states so far. Portugal will impose a new lockdown from the 15th of January to tackle the growing cases of COVID-19 in the country. Portugal's Prime Minister António Costa has urged people to stay indoors and protect themselves. The PM also said that the rules will be similar to the 6-week lockdown imposed between March and April last year during the first wave of the pandemic, except all schools, public and private, will stay open. However, restrictions on movement will be eased on the day of Portugal's presidential elections scheduled on the 24th of January. Portugal has over 507,000 cases of COVID-19, while more than 8,200 lives have been lost in the country so far. And Turkey will roll out COVID-19 vaccine from today, shortly after giving approval to China's Sinovac vaccine. The country focuses on providing the vaccine shots to health workers and to people above 65 years of age first. The third group will include young adults and some other categories, with a fourth group covering the rest. The vaccines have been distributed to public health storage facilities in all of Turkey's 81 provinces. Turkey has ordered 50 million doses of Sinovac vaccine, out of which it has received 3 million doses. Turkey, having more than 23,55,000 cases of COVID-19, has imposed nighttime curfew to control the soaring cases of the disease. Russian Chumakov Research Center and Development of Immune and Biological Products is all set to apply for state registration of its vaccine, while the verdict by Health Ministry is expected in February. The vaccine developed by the center uses a traditional approach where a patient gets a shot of a dead virus part to start the production of antibodies. Such an approach was the reason the start of the vaccine development took longer than its counterparts. Chumakov Center vaccine is currently undergoing phase 2 of clinical trials, which would show its efficiency. Russia has already developed 2 COVID-19 vaccines, Sputnik 5 and Epivac Corona. The country has cases standing above 34,71,000 and fatalities over 63,300. And it's time now to get you all the updates from different sporting arenas. For all the sporting action, let's go over to Suchitra.
Thank you, Gautam. And let's start with some cricket news. After snatching a draw from the jaws of defeat in their previous encounter, Ajinkya Rahane-led Team India will face Tim Paine's Australia in the 4th and final test match of the Border Gavaskar Trophy at the Gaba on Friday. It will be a contest between an Indian side scrambling to put their best 11 on the park and a full-strength Australia at a venue the hosts haven't lost a test since 1988.
India will take on Australia in the final test of the Border Gavaskar Trophy, which will begin on Friday at the Gaba in Brisbane. India faced multiple injury problems ahead of tie with series level 1-1. In Sydney, India batted out 131 innings amidst an injury crisis and finished on 334 for 5 while chasing a mammoth total of 407. Shubman Gill, Rohit Sharma, Cheteshwar Pujara and Rishabh Pant scored the bulk of the runs for India. Later, Harma Vihari and Ravichandran Ashwin formed a terrific partnership and battled tremendous pain to play out 262 balls, scoring 62 runs. Skipper Ajinkya Rahane and key batsman Cheteshwar Pujara hit form over the past 2 tests, and in the absence of Virat Kohli, they have stepped up to keep up the series alive after the historic low of 36 in Adelaide.
The injuries are still being monitored. I think our medical staff is looking into them. They're working with all the players. So I won't be in a position to comment exactly how it stands at the moment. We would like to give them as much time as we can. I think it'll be tomorrow morning only you'll know which 11 is going to take place.
For Australia, a shoulder injury to Will Pucovski could open the doors for Marcus Harris to be David Warner's opening partner. The bowling quartet of Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood, Pat Cummins and Nathan Lyon have been as good as ever, with Cummins leading the wicket chart in the series. The Brisbane cricket ground has been Australia's fortress. The home team has lost a game at the Gaba in 1988 against the mighty West Indians. However, despite the injuries to Team India, we can expect a close contest in this series decider given the fight that we saw from the side in the 3rd test. Sports Desk, DD India.
Will Pucovski has been ruled out of the final test against India due to the shoulder injury he sustained at the SCG. Marcus Harris, the Victoria left-hander, is confirmed as his replacement. Pucovski landed heavily in the field when diving to make a save on the final day and later went for scans. He travelled to Brisbane with the rest of the squad but did not train in the 2 days leading up to the test. Mohammad Azerudin of Kerala played one of the finest knocks in the history of Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy to guide his team to a dominant 8-wicket win against Mumbai at the Wankhede Stadium on Wednesday. 26-year-old Azerudin slammed a 37-ball century, the joint fastest by an Indian player in the format, as Kerala achieved Mumbai's 197-run target in just 15.5 overs. Azerudin, named after former India captain and stylish batsman Mohammad Azerudin, became the first centurion from Kerala in T20. On to football. Young England midfielder Phil Foden helped Man City beat Brighton and get back in the title race in EPL. Foden-inspired 1-0 victory over Brighton at Etihad Stadium moved City into the Premier League's top 3 for the first time this season. It was also the first time this season or last that City have won 7 games in a row in all competitions, or gone 8 without defeat in the league, or 14 unbeaten in all competitions. Ivan Cavaleiro scored a late header to earn Premier League strugglers Fulham a hard-fought draw against Tottenham. Cavaliero's goal cancelled out Harry Kane's first-half header. Cavaleiro sealed a remarkable turnaround for a struggling side. The intensity from two sides at opposite ends of the table was high at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, with Fulham's 5th successive league draw a valuable point in their efforts to escape the relegation zone. Fulham's manager Scott Parker said it was scandalous to be given just 2 days' notice to face Jose Mourinho's men after Spurs' game at Aston Villa was postponed because of a COVID-19 outbreak in the Villa camp. Parker said he was proud of his players for securing battling draw at Tottenham after being ordered to play at short notice by the Premier League. And those were some top sports stories. Back to you, Gautam.
Thank you, Suchitra. And now it's time to get to what is happening on the softer side of hard news, which is Live Prime. Well, the Department of Sports and Youth Services is conducting Zanskar Winter Sports and Youth Festival 2021 under the Khelo India banner in collaboration with the Ladakh Tourism Department. This will be the first of its kind in the picturesque Zanskar Valley of the Union Territory of Ladakh. The festival will be held from the 18th of this month till the 30th. That'll be quite a captivating event, and that's all we have for the moment as far as this edition of Midday Prime is concerned. But we keep tracking all the developments for you, including how preparations are underway. The vaccines are reaching their destinations for the rollout of the world's biggest vaccination campaign starting Saturday. And in the meantime, it is always good to mask up and stay safe. Thanks for watching.